Alright, so I wanted to make a video showing my experience with the Kemper and what I'm using as a rig alongside my Kemper. So when I first got it, the first thing I wanted to do is use only the Kemper and do a whole Sunday with just that to see how all the sounds translate to what I'm doing. So I'm not using the things that I had before. I just wanted to see how the Kemper alone sounds, and it sounded great. But there were things that I was missing just from having Strymon for a long time. Just certain sounds that I was used to that I needed to dial in. So it's not necessarily a necessity. You can get along with the Kemper just fine, but there were certain tones and sounds that I really liked from my Strymons and my Cali 76 and things like that in the King of Tone. So what I decided to do is run my effects with the Kemper at the same time. So the first thing I did is ran my pedal board in front of the Kemper, and that sounded great, but I wanted to experiment a little bit with running my wet effects in the effects loop and my drives in front of it. So that was the first thing I did, is I went ahead and wired everything up so I could, put all my drives in my pod before the Kemper, and then put all my wet effects in the effects loop, and that's what I did. So then what I decided to do, just for wiring purposes, I need to be able to switch back and forth. I have a matchless Lightning that I use as my go-to amp. And so there are weeks that I would just want to use my regular amp setup, and then there are weeks where I want to use my Kemper. And I had the disaster area MIDI controllers here, so I have the DPC and DMC, right? And those are awesome. They're phenomenal pedals. But one thing that I liked about the Mastermind over those is I have a lot of different ins and out options. So what this allows me to do is, without rewiring my board, I'm able to put everything in front of my Lightning, or I'm able to dip out of here right after my dry effects into my Kemper effects loop, and then back from my Kemper effects loop back into the Kemper effects loop. So what I'm able to do is just quickly patch in with the Mastermind. Not only that, the Mastermind loops, 7 through 10, have trails on them. So if you want to run them in parallel or series and with trails on. So that was a nice thing too with my El Capistan. When I ran it in a loop on my it was a DPC, there are no trails on this if I run it in the looper. So there was another benefit there. And then some of the other benefits of the Mastermind too is just being able to program anything that you want. So that's where I can kind of go next. Is what I have here is just a one song patch from a Sunday. But I was able to program. They have these different pages, and that's kind of the way the disaster area stuff works too, but it's static. You don't really get access to program them. So with this song right here, if I just switch over to my device mode, and device mode allows me to cycle up and down through my presets here. So if I cycle up through the presets on my timeline and choose my Big Sky presets, and then I programmed it to also cycle up and down through the Kemper performances. So I set up these vanilla Kemper performances that have different drives on them, different amp profiles. So then if I just want to change which profile, so example, right here is a Benson one, right here is the Matchless C30, and I can just switch between amps, Matchless 3015, and I can toggle through those. Or if I want to, here I program these buttons to turn them off. So if I don't want Big Sky, I can turn off Big Sky for this song. If I don't want time, then I can turn that off for this song. And then I can go over to the loops. And then these are my audio loops here. So if I wanted to turn on my King of Tone light side, the yellow side, the red side there, and then my full drive here. So that's what I have on, and then my POG is in for. So then once I program those, I can just hit save. So if I go to like a preset 3 here, and this is how I set up a preset when I'm working on a song, is I'll go choose my delay, I'll choose my reverb, I'll choose my amp profile, or I'll turn these on and off. I'll toggle over, I select my drive level, essentially my gain stage that I want to use. So if I want to use a light drive, and then when I'm done, I just hit save, and it stores that preset to preset 3. So if I hit this and I go over to that worthy, it takes me to this, and whatever configuration here. And if I hit this, it'll take me to my new configuration. So that's how I kind of use that. And if I need to bank up and down between songs, you can do that. You can bank up between songs. And then you'll see here, if I stop at a bank, it'll ask me which preset that I want to use on that bank, and then I can hit it. So that's one thing that I love using on this as well, is at the end of a song, I'll actually hit bank up before the song is over, and then right as the next song starts, I'll hit the next preset. That's a nice feature. So you can kind of pre-bank and then hit the next preset. You can program it to also jump to the next preset if you want to. When you hit bank up, it'll do that. But I love banking up, and then, because sometimes preset 1 isn't the one that I use for the intro or whatever. So it just depends. Another thing that's really nice about the Mastermind is it has a whole software that runs with the USB. As you can see, the USB is plugged in here. So I can copy every setting here and back it up, and I can even organize all of my presets into songs and set lists, and then back them up as well. So if I just need to drag a song on here, I can drag it on, and I can create a set list even on my computer from maybe patches that I used last time, and then I can just send it to this, and it will bring up my set list with all the songs already to go. So that's one thing that I really like about this Mastermind, is it's so flexible to do all of the things that you might want to do. For me, I can control the whole Kemper with it. I can create a Kemper page on here where I can turn on stomps and do different configurations that way. I can run it in a performance mode if I want to. If I want to go Kemper only again, I can just use my Mastermind with that. Or if I want to go Kemper with my effects, I can use it. Or if I want to go old school pedalboard into the front of my amp, I can do that all with the same device. So that's one of the reasons why I like this. So here's, I'll just do some tone samples of what I'm getting from the Kemper and what these patches sound like. So this is what we played Worthy. So that's just like a nice clean. Actually, that song, when it starts out, I have my global preset to a swell preset. So that's that, and then I'll toggle over to the for the bigger part. So those are the tones that I use for that one. And then on Build My Life, you know, I had some different tones here. I think I had like a drive. Yeah, so closer, we had some clean stuff going on. Yeah, so that is the pedal board setup for right now. You know, I got my drives going into the front, coming out of the effects loop, going through all my wet effects, and I just patch in and out of that. You can see here, and then there's a patch over here, and then back in, coming out of my big sky. Yeah, so that's how I'm using the Strymon alongside of the Kemper.